Hey guys, Aaron Cybertron Zhang here, and today I'm back with another episode of Road to Rank where I climb the online VGC 20 ladder and provide live commentary as I go. Today we're trying out a super fun team featuring Noivern with Life Orb and Tailwind, as well as Choice Band Speedy Rhyperior. The idea behind this combo is that you get a Tailwind off with Noivern, and then Rhyperior outspeeds the majority of the metagame and just can get one-hit knockouts with really strong Earthquakes. In addition to the team, there's also Vanillux, Urshifu, Dusclops, and Dhelmise, so a lot of fun stuff here. One cool thing that you can do with the Noivern is get defense drops and speed boosts for the Urshifu, and then Urshifu can come in and just kind of sweep through everything. Dhelmise is a particularly interesting option as well. This is not the weakness policy set that you often see, but instead it's Power Whip, Poltergeist, Whirlpool, and Protect. And so it's a really powerful sweeper, potentially under Trick Room, especially with the water coverage. And with leftovers, it's really difficult to knock out, especially if you set up the grassy terrain, then you heal back a little bit every turn from both. Once Dynamax ends, you're consistently healing back more even as well. And then you've got Vanillux, which is a really interesting option. It helps out against Amoonguss actually, because it's got that taunt. With the Focus Sash too, you're able to get a lot of good damage, and a fair amount of Pokemon in the metagame right now are weak to Ice type. So yeah, Dusclops is the last Pokemon, and it's running Will-O-Wisp, which I really love as a coverage option. I feel like a lot of people don't really respect that as a move on Dusclops anymore, so if you are able to just get a critical burn early on, that's absolutely huge. So, excited to try this team out. It was created by a Japanese player. I've linked the rental code in the description below, and I believe there's a team report for this as well, so that's also linked. Noivern Rhyperior is kind of the main mode that you want to go with this team, but there are definitely a lot of options, so eager to just show off what it can do. I played with this on stream a couple of days ago, and I had a lot of fun with it. So, let's get into today's episode. As always, if you enjoy, please share your support by leaving a like on the video. I'd really appreciate it. Question of the day, not really related to specific Pokemon, but I'm curious who your favorite Pokemon boss throughout all the different games has been. Let me know in the comments below. I feel like Giovanni is kind of an easy pick, but I really do like Giovanni because I feel like, you know, when I first started playing Pokemon, like all the bosses had all this like, you know, mystery and allure to them, and Giovanni was just like super cool. So let me know your answers in the comments below. Really interesting team for the first game today. There's a Gardevoir, Arcanine, Amoonguss. Like, I feel like I'm playing VGC 2015 when I see the Milo, Amoonguss, Gardevoir, and Arcanine. And then to close things out, there's the Darmanitan and the Comfey. So Comfey can obviously proc a policy here. I would think, if anything, the policy would be on Milotic, which would be really interesting. That's not an option I would have considered, to be honest. Burns are valuable here against the Dusclops. The first question, I guess, is can I lead Noivern Rhyperior? I mean, the answer is not really because of Darmanitan. But then the question is, does my opponent really lead Darmanitan into this team? Because what I want to go is just try to set up Trick Room and maybe bring out Dhelmise in this match. Dhelmise has really good coverage against everything. It's just the Darmanitan that I'm kind of nervous about. I don't know. Milotic plus Comfey is like a really interesting option here. I could bring out Vanillux though and like taunt. Noivern Rhyperior doesn't feel good because of the opposing Darmanitan. But maybe we can still lead this, because if they lead Darmanitan, we can maybe just switch out. So I'll go Noivern Rhyperior. Do I really not go Trick Room? I mean, I could just go Vanillux Urshifu here. I feel like that honestly also works. The problem with Trick Room here is I just don't know how I can set it up easily, and I don't know what to lead comfortably. Because if I go with the Vanillux and the Dusclops, I mean, I can taunt, but then if Vanillux doesn't faint turn 1, I'm kind of awkwardly stuck in with it. Maybe I could have actually just hard gambled and led the Dhelmise with the Dusclops immediately. That actually could have been a pretty interesting option. But we'll go with the main mode of this team, which is Noivern Rhyperior, but it is going to be Darmanitan and Amoonguss. Okay, so that was my opponent's Trick Room counter, which makes a lot of sense. This is actually a really good lead from them, I think. It covers pretty much everything I could have gone with. So this is interesting. Oh, it's Choice Band though. Okay, wait. The band here is a big deal. Because it means, and this is why Frisk is so good. It means I could just Tailwind Rock Slide. Or, I mean, I'm leading, or actually I think EQ might also work. I mean, I'm gonna just Tailwind here. I don't know if Band EQ knocks out Darmanitan, so it's probably a little bit more consistent to Rock Slide. I'm just going to Tailwind Rock Slide here. They might switch out, but I don't know. Okay, they stay in. That's huge. The only scary thing is potentially missing Rock Slide here, but it is able to connect. Okay, huge. Flinch on Amoonguss would probably just seal up the game, to be honest. Look at that damage, 50% to Amoonguss. So we definitely take those. And we get a flinch. Oh, I mean, obviously that's a very fortunate start, but to be honest, I think we're actually in a pretty good spot, even if Amoonguss doesn't flinch there. Like, you're probably sporing one of the two Pokemon, but if you put the Rhyperior to sleep, well, I can just max Airstream you the next turn. If you put the Noivern to sleep, I can just continue and click Rock Slide. So, obviously, that was a great turn for us. I think we just Dynamax now. Go for Airstream into Amoonguss. And I'm actually going to switch... actually, should I Dynamax Noivern? Because there's a decent chance the Milo can just max and do a lot of damage to us. Especially if you have, like, an Ice-type attack. I'm leaning towards just maxing, though, Airstreaming. I think Protect here is relatively obvious, but... And I want to switch out because I want to bring the Rhyperior back in for EQs later on. Or that can happen. I never think you should give up a game that early, but... Especially because I think Milotic was actually pretty good against my team, but understandable. So that's the power of Noivern Rhyperior. Life Orb Arcanine, Expert Belt Gardevoir, Figgy, Band, obviously as we saw. Yeah, it was Policy Milotic as well. They didn't have an Ice-type attack. I did have Fairy, but Disarming Voice, interesting. Yeah, to be honest, I think there wasn't much my opponent could do, so I guess that's why they forfeited, knowing they didn't have an Ice-type attack. So, obviously, you know, we get that flinch turn 1, which is very lucky, but I think trading Darmanitan for, and getting Tailwind up to put one of my Pokemon to sleep is honestly totally worth it for me. And it would have really come down to who my opponent puts to sleep in that position as well, but Milotic's not really doing too much before it gets the boost off. But we're up against the Noivern mirror match here, okay. So, I think that's why Vanillix is on this team, because you could leave Vanillix Dusclops against Trick Room stuff. Or like against Amoonguss, which is pretty valuable. Taunt is likely to come out here from something. I would like to go Dhelmise in this game if possible. Because I don't want to risk the Noivern mirror. Like, what if my opponent's Water Urshifu and they lead Noivern Water Urshifu? Then we're in a pretty bad spot, I think. So I'm going to try the Vanillux Dusclops lead with Dhelmise in the back. Honestly, Rhyperior is pretty interesting because it actually works well under Trick Room in this matchup for us as well. And it does so much damage, so let's give this a shot. In terms of the last game, I mean, the only play I could have made differently was maybe going for Earthquake. I mean, Earthquake, yeah, I wouldn't have missed. It probably KOs Darmanitan, to be honest, so... I mean, I have to do that calculator, but if it is a KO, then I should have gone for Earthquake. Then it's a question of, yeah, who does Amoonguss put to sleep? You would think the Noivern gets put to sleep, but then Rhyperior can just get another big Rock Slide off the next turn. I probably won't max the Noivern, so I'll give up the Rhyperior to get a free switch into Urshifu, and then just try to sweep with Urshifu. Because they had Disarming Voice, though, I guess, on the Milotic. I don't know if Urshifu could have actually swept that easily, but this is a great lead for us. They end up going with... Two Pokemon are obviously super weak to Ice. Okay, so they find our items, but that's fine. Like, we're running just the standard items there, so they're not really getting much insight. The only thing I'm worried about is Speedy Amoonguss, and then you max Life Orb and Sash. Okay, cool. I mean, I still kind of want to set up Trick Room for Dhelmise, but... Like... We obviously want a Blizzard here. I could also taunt Amoonguss and Trick Room. I actually kind of like that option. Yeah. Because that means you can't deny my Trick Room, and then your Amoonguss is also useless going into turn 2. Okay, they just Tailwind. That makes sense. Yep, so that's one way to have Speedy Amoonguss. But I get Trick Room up now, so it's not awful. And if we get a one-turn wake-up with Vanillix, my opponent's in really bad shape. So, yeah, I mean, I think that's a decent trade. Yeah, it's becoming a Noivern meta, though, which is pretty cool to see. What do I want to do here? I don't want to just hard switch out into Dhelmise, but I kind of need that to get that in ASAP. It's just if my opponent, like... I mean, you're not going to max Airstream into Dusclops, right? That seems crazy. Yeah, I'm going to Blizzard and switch out into Dhelmise. This is slightly risky because, of course, Dhelmise could get targeted with damage, but I feel like Dynamaxing Noivern here makes no sense against Vanillux. At worst, I eat maybe a Draco Meteor up into that slot. Okay, Noivern switches out. Yeah, that makes sense. Into Urshifu? Yeah, so this puts Dhelmise in a great spot now. And we wake up with Vanillux. That's huge. RNG has definitely been favorable for us today, so we'll take it. We freeze. What's going on, dude? What? It's like, I don't need the RNG. Just let me play without it. Unless Amoonguss was sludge bombing Dusclops, like, honestly, the freeze really doesn't matter there, because, like, I just Dynamax and double KO this next turn, but what is happening today? It's water Urshifu too, so, like, I was always good to just click Blizzard, Max. I mean, this is probably just going to be another forfeit, to be honest. But what is important about this is that we did lead correctly. Okay, they actually don't end up forfeiting. Yeah, I mean, I just can't see Amoonguss ever sludge bombing into Dusclops, so even without the freezes, I think we were totally fine. But maybe they went for like a super crazy read. But the thing is that Sludge Bomb doesn't KO us anyway. So yeah, I don't know. Like as soon as my opponent switched out there, I was feeling really, really confident about the game, especially because Urshifu ended up coming in, so you can't even redirect my attacks away. So it'll just be a double KO here. But yeah, I think that's why I needed to lead Vanillux into this game, and that's exactly why I didn't want to lead Noivern Rhyperior, because I know I don't have Sash on my Noivern either. I guess they didn't end up having Sash either, but I really don't want to take that 50-50 turn one. Because if I lose a speed tie, and they knock out my Noivern, then Amoonguss can just put the Rhyperior to sleep, and I don't KO Amoonguss in return. But definitely a fortunate day with the flinch double freeze. I honestly really didn't want Amoonguss to get frozen there because I wanted to see what it was going for. I mean, you'd really suspect a Spore into the Dusclops slot. I think that play makes the most sense, right? Because, like, why would you Spore a Vanillux after it's only taken one turn of sleep? Or has, yeah, like, I mean, you could go for that, I guess. A little risky. It's going to be Noivern and Volcarona. Yeah, I mean, the key thing here is that my opponent set up Tailwind when I set up Trick Room, so anytime you're in a matchup like that, it's just already looking pretty rough. And this is where the having Max Geyser is really neat. Okay, but because of Max Geyser, I don't want to risk missing, so let's Freeze Dry into Noivern instead, and Geyser into Volcarona. I'm curious how much damage this does. Okay, it's just another forfeit. Today I am the luckiest player. I mean, undoubtedly, you know, the flinch and the freezes were big, but I honestly feel like I was already in advantageous position, so it's not like I needed them. It was just like, those are positions where, and if anything, this actually shows why, like, attacking first in Pokemon is really valuable, as we're in the top 100 after that, so that's pretty cool. Being able to attack first means that you can crit them, you can flinch them, you can get these freezes off. So that's why speed control is really important, right? Both games I wanted to make sure that I was outspeeding my opponent, and that's why, like, putting yourself in a position where you can get great speed control is just super, super important in Pokemon. Because if you attack second, then, you know, you're not going to be able to flinch, or maybe you can freeze, but only after they get an attack off. So yeah. I think the second game was pretty much wrapped up after a turn 1 wake up, to be honest, on the Vanillux. The wake up was huge. If we don't wake up there, though, I still get Dhelmise in a pretty good position. I know you don't have Focus Sash on the Urshifu. So then the question is basically, does Urshifu hard switch out there to take a Overgrowth? I think it's pretty likely, so what I could have done in that position was Dynamax the Dhelmise and gone for a Phantasm onto Urshifu because it covers any switches. But yeah, I mean, the lead for that second game was super, super good for us because my opponent couldn't stop both Trick Room and the Vanillux. And yeah, it's hard to feel comfortable Dynamaxing Noivern in that position, so we take those. Alright, not bad. Let's try to get a cleaner game here, but no complaints from me. Mawile! I feel like I'm playing VGC 2014 right now. Like, literally their team is a 2014 team with the Talonflame, Amoonguss. I mean, all of those were legal in 2014, right? Whoa. This reminds me of a team that I went up against in round 5 of Worlds in 2014. I think that team ended up getting top 4 at Worlds, actually, that year. Okay, so can we go Trick Room here? The thing is, I really want to go Noivern Rhyperior, but if my opponent leads Talonflame Lapras, I'm just doomed. Talonflame Lapras is a really bad lead to go up against now that I look at it. How do I beat Talonflame Lapras? Urshifu Dusclops? Because I can Surging Strike Trick Room? If if anything other than Talonflame Lapras is led, I feel like we're in good... Oh, actually, you could lead Talonflame Hydreigon. That's a problem as well. Yeah. I honestly feel forced to try to go Trick Room this game because of the Talonflame option. So I want to go Urshifu, because we have the Copa Berry, so we can knock out Talonflame in return. Urshifu, Dusclops, Dhelmise, and probably Vanillux. Oh, actually, Rhyperior looks really dang good here, though. I'm going to go with Rhyperior. It does so much damage with Rock Slide here into everything bar Mawile. But yeah, I actually... really cool team from my opponent's end. Really gives me throwbacks to VGC 2014. Okay, so let's see. I do think my opponent's going to have the better end of speed control this time around. I don't feel very comfortable in my ability to actually get Trick Room up turn 1, but I'm leading this because if I just lead like Rhyperior Noivern... They didn't lead Talonflame though, so Rhyperior Noivern actually would have worked out here. It actually would have worked out so well, because I could just Draco EQ, right? Okay, so there's Intimidate. I feel like Mawile probably Dynamaxes here. Citrus and Specs. Citrus is interesting. But I can't take a Specs attack well here at all. Oh, this is like the worst lead. I wonder if they just hard red into me leading this, because if so, well done. Although I don't think Specs Dark Pulse KO, so you need to double up on Dusclops for a knockout. Honestly, yeah, kind of want to just close combat Trick Room here. I could even Will-O-Wisp Mawile. Wait, Will-O-Wisp is actually a really interesting option, because it shuts that down completely. Close combat. Okay, I'm going to close combat Will-O-Wisp. Because I have Rhyperior in the back, that should outspeed the Mawile. No Dynamaxes from either Pokemon. And we just one-shot. Okay. Sure, I'll take that then. That's really good. Honestly, I was kind of expecting Max Mawile here, so let's see what it goes for. Play rough, maybe? Okay. That doesn't even KO, wow. Mawile is not Dynamax Mawile, or not Dynamax, Mega Mawile, let me tell you that. It's pretty cool to see Mawile though, because I've been, you know, obviously I've been playing the WBE, and one of the players, Kay, has Mawile on her team, and she, like, turned it into, like, she Dynamaxed it and turned it into, like, this big offensive threat. I was really impressed by it. I was like, Mawile honestly, like, does damage, but yeah, Urshifu being pretty defensive takes that like a champ. So, okay, not bad. Gengar comes out. Yeah, Noivern and Rhyperior would have swept this, honestly, but I don't really regret playing it the way I did. I'm just going to Surging Strikes into Gengar and Trick Room here. Because if I get Trick Room up against this, Dhelmise just sweeps now. Gengar might want to go for a Taunt. And you can see, yeah, the Intimidate hurts, but Urshifu's just so strong. It's going to be Max Gengar. I wonder if it's G-Max Gengar. That'd be really cool. Let's see. A lot of fun throwbacks to 2014 right now, though. I loved Mega Mawile. And that looks like G-Max Gengar. Okay. I'm fine by that, to be honest, especially if I get Trick Room up. I think we just double up on Gengar for a knockout with Dhelmise. There's the G-Max Terror into Urshifu, too. So, unless Mawile has a way to deny Trick Room here. That's a sick animation, by the way. It's also, I actually don't think we've really gone up against G-Max Gengar up until this point in the series. That's cool. He actually has Taunt on Mawile! Oh, no way. I should have Trick Room last turn, then. Okay. Taunt Mawile. This just got a lot more interesting because it has Taunt. I mean, I could just go Band Rhyperior here, though. Unless you have Max Overgrowth. That's my only fear. If, like, Gengar has Energy Ball. But if it's not Overgrowth, then we can just double up onto Gengar here. I don't think I want to attack myself, so I'm just going to High Horsepower Nightshade. Huh, and actually a Taunt. Cool. So it's support more. It's more support oriented. Ooh, Helping Hand. Hailstorm. Does that KO? I should have maxed Rhyperior maybe. Oh my god, it KO'd. Oh, wow. Was maxing Rhyperior the play there? My fear of maxing was if it was Focus Sash Gengar. I should have just Trick Room turn 1. I wanted to burn the Mawile because I thought that was the offensive threat. Did not think Gengar would be the offensive threat. Also did not expect Helping Hand Hailstorm. That Hailstorm must be from, what, Icy Wind? So that's pretty crazy. But I think this is honestly maybe okay. I mean, this next turn is scary because they have to make a read. If I'm my opponent, you should Helping Hand Terror into Dusclops. Oh, wow. Taunt Mawile. That's super cool. Yeah, maxing Rhyperior there probably would have won it for us because we would have survived and gotten the knockout on a Gengar. But I also should have just Trick Roomed earlier in this match. I did not expect Gengar to do that much damage. So I'm hoping here my opponent tries to dunk on Dhelmise with like a Helping Hand attack here. So I'm going to like max guard and go for Nightshade. And then hopefully pick up a double KO this next turn. But it's not looking great anymore because I just lost the Pokemon for nothing. I didn't think the Gengar had any way to one-shot Rhyperior there. But it had Helping Hand, yeah, that's super cool. So I really feel like this game we should have won after turn 1. And for that reason, I probably should have just Trick Roomed. Especially because I saw Citrus on Mawile, so it's not like Mawile is really going to be, hyper offensive there. So let's see, if they target into Dhelmise, we can still win, but if they go for Gengar, which honestly they should because, like, or into Dusclops because it's super safe. But they do target Dhelmise, okay, that's what we want to see. So we're still in this then. Yeah, we're still in this because of that. Still, really interesting sets here. Okay, well, obviously we can one-shot Gengar now. Question is whether I go for another Trick Room on the Dusclops. It's like so dang obvious. But I think it might be still worthwhile because if I get it, like they might just think you're not going to Trick Room again. I'm just going to Helping Hand Shadow Ball here. If I get it off, we win. Whereas I don't think the Nightshade damage really makes much of a difference here anyway. Is there a reason to go for Geyser here? It does get rid of hail damage. Oh, it's only base 90 though, so no. I think we just Phantasm. I'm going to go for another Trick Room. I think, like, if they mess up and don't taunt here, then we probably just win the game off that. Yeah, they go for Helping Hand. Unless Shadow Ball KOs, but I don't think it does on either here. Targets Dhelmise. Okay, nice. Gets a Spadef drop, but I don't think that matters. So we get Trick Room up. I don't know what my opponent's last one is, though, which is scary. Huh. You know what would be really bad? Talonflame. Although if it were Talonflame, I guess I would just max guard Nightshade. Actually, Talonflame would be fine. That wouldn't be a problem. There's Lapras, but with Lapras, I can just Overgrowth, which is fine. Overgrowth Nightshade probably would just KO Lapras, and Mawile doesn't do any damage into us right now. So we had to make some hard reads in the end of this game to win. I do think my opponent pretty much had this sealed up if they targeted Dusclops, because Dusclops almost never has Protect in this position. So Helping Hand Terror is probably a KO. If you get the KO onto that, then it's a 3v1 essentially. But, I had to make the play hoping my opponent would target into me. It is going to be Lapras as the last one, so we're in pretty good shape now, I think. Because Mawile shouldn't be doing any damage, so I can just go for Overgrowth into Lapras and Nightshade and double up into that slot. Lapras probably protects here, but I don't really care because Mawile shouldn't be doing much damage. I mean, we've seen Helping Hand play rough, taunt. I'm wondering what the last attack is. Either a steel type attack like Iron Head or just protect. That also explains why Mawile did so little damage into the Urshifu. It's probably just like a more defensive set. But yeah, this is a little frustrating because my opponent didn't bring Talonflame, so I definitely... Oh, Mawile's last one's protect. Okay. Well, that should seal up the game then. I mean, I'm sure, yeah, Lapras protects here too, but I guess they have stalled out my Dynamax and I could still miss Power Whip. Or Poltergeist. Like, we don't have an 100% accurate attack here, which is kind of scary. So, it's not one yet, actually, because we could miss. But as long as we don't miss our attacks, we're good. That being said, we've been very fortunate today in the earlier matches, so honestly, if we take a miss here, I can't even complain. Like, those first two matches were kind of nutty. But we're in good shape now. Good double protect, though, I think. So, Mawile's really not doing any damage here, because its only offensive attack is that play rough. Honestly, I think I could just... Well, I was going to say I could protect Dhelmise, because, like, I think Dusclops 2v1s in this position at this point, to be honest. Yeah, this is the nice thing about leftovers too, so I can just keep protecting and healing back more HP. Now we have Hail, Burn, Terrain, and Lefties. A lot of residual damage coming out now. I actually think the safest play here is to protect the Dhelmise, but I am also stalling out the Trick Room turns, which we don't want, right? There's still 3 turns, though. I don't know, Protect Nightshade here is relatively safe, I think. I heal back more with the Dhelmise as well. It just means that Lapras could potentially go for a double Protect afterwards. It's the last turn of Hail, though, so that residual damage is going to be out of the way. Protect Nightshade, Protect Nightshade. I mean, Lapras shouldn't really be able to do enough damage to us, and I think you always have to target the Dhelmise here. Sure. Let's just get rid of Mawile, because that can still taunt us, right? So as soon as Mawile gets cleared out of the field, I think Dusclops should win the 2v1 against Lapras. I just didn't want to risk missing a Power Whip here and, like, insta-losing. Okay, they do go for Taunt onto Dusclops, but that's fine. And Ice Beam. Yeah, okay. This is also where the special defense drop hurts a little bit from earlier. If that special defense drop doesn't happen, then I think we'd actually survive an Ice Beam after the lefties and the grassy terrain. Well, I'm not sure. Can't say that confidently. Okay. I mean, we're in the same position now. We just dished out a little bit more damage to Mawile. And once again, I think Dusclops should win the 1v1 against Lapras. We get taunted, but that's fine. There's not much point in targeting the Lapras in that position. I mean, I think my opponent may want to consider a double protect, but then I get more healing off. I just hate that we don't have any moves that are super accurate here. I mean, Power Whip will just KO Lapras if we get it off, so I think I'm just going to Power Whip and Nightshade here. How many turns of terrain are left? 3. So still a fair amount. Yeah, I think I'm just going to Power Whip Nightshade here. If we miss and Mawile protects, this could be a little scarier. But they go for Helping Hand, so they're going kind of all in on this play. Okay, now even if we miss, I think we're fine, because you're only knocking out the Dhelmise. If you target the Dusclops, obviously, it's just over. It's not going to do that much. Okay, Power Whip does miss, though. It's going for Ice Beam. Yeah, I mean, this is why I wanted to play for the potential of Power Whip missing. Right now, we could get frozen, which is scary. Wait, he's Life Orb. He's Life Orb. Does Life Orb two-shot us? Oh, no. Oh, no. Because I'm still taunted for 2 turns. The Life Orb actually might make the difference here if you have Hydro Pump. Which you should. Oh, wow, okay. Well, that's karma. For us getting so lucky in the first couple of games today. It's still not over, but I think Life Orb might give my opponent the edge they need to win this. But they're just going for Ice Beam. I don't think that's a 2-hit KO. Yeah, it's not. Or they might not want to risk a Hydro Miss that first time around. That might be the explanation. I actually think we lose this now, because I can't Trick Room. I'm still taunted for 1 more turn. Oh, man. Yeah. Unless they don't want to go for those water type attacks, which is interesting. So last turn of terrain. If we take 54 or more, then it's not looking good. Okay, Ice Beam. That did less than 54, though. Okay. So now it's I mean, they keep going for Ice Beam, but I think once again, they just don't want to risk missing a Hydro Pump. Yeah, but with the Grassy Terrain recovery, I think even if you have Hydro, we're fine here. I'm just thinking, is there any reason to not... We should always click Nightshade here, because if in the off chance they have Ice Shard, and they Ice Beam into Ice Shard, that's enough for a KO. Nightshade should definitely be a knockout in this range. So there's no reason to go for anything but Nightshade. This is close. They do have Hydro. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Does it KO us? I think it might. Oh, never mind. I had too much faith in Lapras. Dusclops is just too good. So my opponent was going for the Ice Beams because they didn't want to miss, which made sense. I think the Helping Hand on Mawile wasn't necessary. on the turn with the Lapras because this is why I did need to go for those Nightshades, though. Because if Mawile hangs around for that extra turn, that helping hand means that you get extra damage onto my Dusclops, which means we lose the game. So that's why I protected in that position. And in the end, yeah, it's better just to play safe there because you have to cover for the misses. We obviously saw Specs Hydreigon, Life Orb Lapras, Hydro, Ice Beam, Thunder, yeah. Citrus Mawile, Taunt Play, Rough Helping Hand, Protect. Yeah, so it was kind of a bad decision on my end. Max HP, Max Spadef. That's cool. To go for the Will-O-Wisp. Will-O-Wisp was super useless on this thing. So if I get Trick Room up early game, we're just in great shape. It did end up being Sash on the Gengar. But in that position, had I just gone for Max Quake, we get the knockout onto Gengar, the Hail chips away at it, and then I don't know, Lapras is actually still a problem, so maybe we did need a Dynamax Dhelmise here. Either way, that was a really, really interesting set of games. I think if anything, that third game, that end game should be kind of a lesson on how you can like mitigate some RNG, because yeah, you always have to assume the worst case, and in that game, I was like, okay, if we miss Power Whip, that actually would be pretty bad, but Dusclops is a bulky enough Pokemon where should be able to 2v1. In the end, my opponent might have had a better shot if they just kept going for Hydro Pump instead of Ice Beam, but obviously they didn't want to risk missing the Ice Beams, which makes a lot of sense. Miss risking the Hydro Pumps and wanted to go for Ice Beams. You obviously have a slight freeze chance from Ice Beam as well. If you get a freeze, the game is probably over. But yeah, I think had Mawile protected instead of going for Helping Hand, because there was that Spadef drop on us, then I think, like, you keep Mawile around for just a single Helping Hand, and that's a little bit of damage that you kind of needed on the Dusclops there in the end game. But super fun set of games, really cool team, and I was not expecting G-Max Gengar with Icy Wind to be able to one-shot Rhyperior, so that was a really, really neat tech. And like I felt like the game was really in our control after turn 1, but it slipped out of it very heavily after turn 2 because of the taunt and the one-shot, so that was like the worst case scenario, but we end up pulling it out with the win anyway. So yeah, that's gonna be it for our time with this team today. Thank you as always for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed. This episode was really fun, but obviously we did get pretty lucky in the first 2 games, so we'll see if we get some cleaner games in the future. Either way, though, I think we were able to showcase a bunch of the different leads and modes with this team, which is always fun. So yeah, thanks as always for watching, and I'll see you soon. All right, peace.